Today, the Uvalde shooting timeline gets even more infuriating. Elon Musk's transgender child wants to legally disown his father, and the Navy focuses on what is truly important. We all know gender pronouns. We've got all of that and more coming up, and it all starts right now. Welcome to the news and why it matters. I am Sarah Gonzalez, and I'm excited today. I've got two new faces. Well, they're probably not new faces to you, but they're new faces on this show. We've got Quarter Black Garrett, who is contributor at Nerdrotic, and that's got to be on your birth certificate, right?
Yeah,
it just
says
it is. Quarter.
Well, on the tombstone, I'm going to put it right there.
Yeah,
Quarter Black Garrett. Forever of all time.
Well, we're happy.
Thank you for having me on.
Yeah. We're happy you're here, along with Dave Landau, who I'm sure you have also seen. He is co-host over at Louder with Crowder, which you can also find on BlazeTV. Happy you're here as well.
Ahoy. That's what I like to say.
Ahoy?
Yes.
Are you a pirate?
Kind of.
Really?
No.
You dabble in it?
Every now and then.
Yeah.
I rob ships.
Really?
Yes. Well, like I go to yacht clubs. Just to take stuff off boats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's weird that you'd want to admit that on live national television.
I've been feeling bad about it, and maybe some of the viewers, I've robbed their yachts.
It's a subconscious thing. It really kind of comes
I usually,
out all the time.
I rob the staff of very luxurious yachts. Like I steal from the poor.
Oh,
yeah,
that's great.
I'm pretty awesome like that.
So when we were talking about booking you guys, and I was like, yes, let's get them on. And then I saw the news of the day come out, and I was like, it's really great to have two very funny gentlemen on a day where there's a lot of not funny stuff going on. So with that being said, I want to get into all of the Uvalde hearings that have been going on today in the Texas Senate. So just to kind of set the scene here, Texas agencies obviously have not been forthcoming in releasing full video to the public. As of June 15th, there have been ProPublica and the Texas Tribune that have submitted about 70 public information requests that could help answer larger questions, because as we've seen all of this transpire, it seems all we get are conflicting accounts. And, they'll say one thing one day, and, the teacher propped open the door, and then it was, hold on, let me back up. After reviewing surveillance footage, the teacher propped open the door, and then after reviewing surveillance footage, apparently the teacher did not prop open the door.
Yes.
It's like, wait a second, you just said you reviewed the footage, so how could you get that so wrong? So a lot of weird things going on. Everything stinks when it comes to this story. But the first interior image was released yesterday, right before the hearing, and it shows, by the way, all of the footage was reviewed by, I believe it was KView and also the Austin American-Statesman. They obtained this exclusive surveillance footage from inside the elementary school. KView wrote that the footage showed multiple officers were inside the building with rifles and at least one ballistic shield, which you can see here in this interior image that was released. At least 19 minutes after the gunman arrived, they didn't enter the classroom that the shooter was inside for nearly another hour. They breached the classroom at 12:50 p.m., right? The shooter entered at 11:33. You had 11... Try really hard not to curse, okay, because this is really infuriating. 11 officers, it turns out, 11 officers in the school within 3 minutes of the gunman entering the school, and still no one did anything for over an hour, including not even trying to see if the doors were even freaking locked to the classrooms that the shooter had barricaded himself into, using children for target practice. So, excuse me, I'm a little... You caught me on a day, guys.
No, it's
I'm not usually this incensed, but
I get the same way. I'm a parent. I know Dave's a parent.
Yeah, I'm a dad.
Seeing this whole situation kind of come out, it's horrifying. It is like, as a parent, they would have to shoot me.
Yeah,
they would have to shoot me
that's what
to
I say
keep me
every
from
time.
going in that building.
Yep.
And I understand. I get to a point where the police officers are thinking, probably in this situation, we don't want to go in there, bust in, and then he start killing more people or what. They need to figure out what the situation is in there. But like 58 minutes? That's crazy.
But
I feel like you have to do something.
Look at the hallway. You got Bobby Monahan and then whoever the other one is. It's like all you had to do was get that hallway. What's intimidating about going down that hallway? What are you behind? What are you waiting for? There's two of you.
with a ballistic shield.
Yeah, go down the hole and finish it.
Yeah.
Armed with the same rifles because remember, the first argument was, well, we didn't have the high-powered rifles that the shooter
Yeah, you
had,
did.
right?
Yeah, you did.
It's like
They're
they have
out.
this. We know they have this at
And the
least
training.
11:52. That's almost an hour that went by that no one bothered to even check if the door was unlocked. And do you know what I'm hearing? I'm going to get a couple people who watch this program, because I know, because you've written to me, who are mad about this, but I'm going to say it anyway. Just following orders is not an excuse.
Yeah, it's
Like-
never been an excuse.
Especially if there's no orders. You
Well-
should just do what you know is right then. I mean,
Well,
if that's
correct.
your job.
But they're saying that the commanding officer on the scene told them to wait. But it's like, how many of there were you, grown men, who said that you were there to protect and serve? Who are you there to protect and serve? Because if it's the community, who gives a crap what your commanding officer says? You know children are in there being killed.
Yeah.
You go, okay, just like Garrett said, okay, I guess shoot us because we're going in there to save kids.
I mean, during this, are they hearing gunshots going? Are they like?
It's a great question.
How could you sit there as an adult and just not do anything?
Right.
I'm sorry. I'm like, I would lose my job. I'm fine losing my job, whatever. I'm fine getting shot. I'm fine with dying. If I'm going to go in there, I've got to do something. And there's something in me that I can't not do something like that. And it's easy to say that now, we're not in the situation.
Of course.
But 58 minutes, like there's just so much time that it would just grate on me.
Right.
And there's like, okay, we're doing something. We're going to do it
Right.
right now. I mean, you and me, let's go.
Right, exactly.
The notorious bank robbery in LA where the guys were armed to the teeth with metal was 44 minutes.
Yep.
There's no reason why in 58 minutes you can't go down the hallway and shoot a guy who's standing there that has no training whatsoever and you're trained completely.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
if I'm a dad, I'm running in.
right, right.
Just like the guy did who was like, can I borrow a gun from a barber shop? And went in and took care of it.
Yeah. Well, and the mother who was detained by
Yeah.
law enforcement and then talked her way out of it and then went in and got both of her children.
Which I don't blame her.
No,
Not at
absolutely
all.
not.
Not at
Absolutely.
That's exactly what she should have done.
I mean, I literally would have, like, I'm usually armed in my car, right?
Yeah.
Like, okay, kill me then.
Exactly.
I'm going. Kill me. That's fine. I would rather be dead trying to save my children
Yes.
than just stand around while no one does anything.
Well, wouldn't you rather die a hero if you're a police officer than, be known for this the rest of your life?
Yeah, I mean, that's what I don't get, because I've had a couple people who have reached out to me and said, well, look, when police officers take the job, it's not like they're signing it. It's not a suicide pact. It's not like they're signing up to die. And it's like, well, no,
Kinda.
but I mean, kind of, right?
Kinda.
Like, kind of.
Yeah, like my thing with the sheriff, whenever he seemed to be incompetent, it's like, oh, well, he wasn't expecting it. He was just a sheriff of the small. That is your job. Whenever you become a sheriff, you take the job like anything could possibly happen. And this is specifically the reason why you exist as a
Right.
sheriff. It's for situations like this. And when you can't perform, you should not be in that position. If
Yeah.
you're not prepared to do that,
He
you
hid
shouldn't
for
be there.
days.
Yeah.
Right.
For days. So he knew that. So he knew that he obviously did something wrong. So in that moment, I mean, you had parents outside screaming. You knew there were cops in the building. None of it adds up.
No.
And just as a parent, it's infuriating.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really is. So based on the body cam footage, you can hear at 11:52, an officer with the first ballistic shield enters the school, and in this body camera footage, you can hear one officer say, if there's kids in there, we need to go in there, which is interesting because it's like, yeah, it's a school. Who do you think is going to be in
Yeah,
there? Fish?
right, yeah.
Of course there are
It's
kids
5
in there.
janitors.
So, right. So, and then, so based on this body camera footage as well, Arredondo, who of course was the commanding officer on the scene, he was trying to find keys to open the classroom, but they never tried the door again. So it's like, how is this possible? 30 minutes before breaching the classroom, he's heard wondering aloud whether officers could consider shooting the suspect through the classroom's windows. 12:46, he told SWAT officers who had arrived that they should breach the classroom door as soon as they were ready. So that's great. Like,
That is insane. That should have been the first thing to do. You assess the situation, get as much intel as you can. Like, where is he positioned in the room? Can we see him from the window? Does he have somebody physically holding as a hostage? And then you go in. There's no reason why it should take 58 minutes past the time that you've gotten in the building
yeah.
to act upon this. Like, that's
There was a little girl live on TikTok.
That is insane.
Like, there was a chance that people were hidden in there. I mean, that's the thing. Like, there's no way they weren't getting that information.
Well, and the 11 officers who were there within 3 minutes of the time that the gunman entered the building, they could have at least distracted him by engaging, right?
Yeah.
Even if they were taking cover, if they're at least creating a distraction, who knows how much time that could have bought them? And I quite literally mean who knows, because we will never know, because they chose the cowardly way out.
But what about like a negotiation? Isn't that just in the movies, or isn't there something that you can do where you're trying to figure out why they're in there?
Yeah.
So it's interesting because the police chief here, Arredondo, actually alluded to the idea that he was negotiating with the suspect, but there's no footage that shows that.
How are you communicating?
Right, because
What are you negotiating from, like hand signals through the window? What do you?
Yeah, I mean,
I was
and it's like
holding up money.
maybe you could try the door. I don't know. That might be a good thing to do.
Yeah, the door would be a help.
And just to let the viewers know, we're trying to figure out how KView and the Austin American-Statesman received this footage, how they got it, why isn't it available for public viewing? We're trying to figure out if we can FOIA request this, because I'm not sure of the limitations on this is actually from a school, not necessarily directly from a police officer. Certainly the body cam footage we probably could FOIA, but the other parts of it, we're trying to figure out how they got this footage. Why isn't it being shown to the full general public? But I want to really quickly also, on this topic, I want to play a clip for you. So parents and reporters were actually asked to leave Uvalde City Hall yesterday afternoon before a Texas House of Representatives Senate committee held a hearing to gather testimony from the officers involved in the shooting. This is video posted by a reporter over at CNN, and it shows a fire marshal telling this reporter that they are being asked to leave the meeting because, quote, someone is intimidated. Watch.
Can I ask you why they would be intimidated by us?
No, sir, I can ask you to leave again, please.
I understand that, but why would they be intimidated by us? Has someone complained to you, sir, about being intimidated?
Actually, yes.
Like who?
We actually had a lady that had a panic attack last week.
Because reporters were in the room?
Yeah, she just freaked out.
Okay, get a new job, I guess, if you don't want to deal with the public because it's City Hall.
Yeah, you know who probably had panic attacks? The parents, the families,
The whole time.
the children.
The relatives,
Yeah.
the brothers and sisters.
You sit in this. It's like whenever you catch your kid doing something bad and you sit them down and all they want to do is like not look at you.
Yeah.
And they want to leave the room and they're thinking about anything but like what you're telling them right now. That's what that is. No, you sit there, you look at us in the eyes and know that you failed and we're going to go through this. You don't take them out of the room.
No, and the other day was on like Rogan. Somebody talked about it was defunding the police, which I do agree. This is what happens, but this is beyond that, where it's like this is incompetence getting to a high rank to give orders.
Yeah.
And this is people who don't know what to do to save their jobs. But there's a difference between being able to save your job and save a bunch of kids. Nothing has come out since then that has shown me why they didn't go in there. There's not one good reason.
Yeah.
And they're not going to find one.
Right.
There's a bunch of dead kids and there's a bunch of cops that are alive. Explain that to me.
Yeah.
There's no reason it should have happened. There's nothing that's ever going to come out that will excuse it, ever.
I completely agree. All right.
Not to be all angry. But it's
Well,
really...
you should be angry. Like, everyone should be angry. I'm shocked that those parents just left quietly.
No, I
You
just sit
have to
in
drag me the hell out of there. You're telling me I'm intimidating someone because your city screwed over my dead children? Like, who cares?
Yeah, I
You
would
should
not be
be
leaving.
intimidated.
Yes, exactly. All right, so with that being said.
No, and there are great cops, and that's the thing is I know
Yeah.
a lot of cops get a lot of crap for that,
Yeah.
but I honestly think that 99% of cops would have done something.
Yeah.
I don't know how the perfect storm of the worst police ever were there. And I will say this, you are terrible at your job.
So
terrible.
So let me touch on that for a second, because I do think that that's a good clarification to make. It seems to me that all of the, sorry, I shouldn't say all, because I'm going to get some of you out there who say, you said all. No, most of the good cops who were in the force have left because they're tired of all of the
Yes.
BS, right?
Right.
So now we're left with these people.
Exactly.
I've been saying that since day one of all
Right.
the defund the police. It's like, of course, you're not going to incentivize good people
Right.
No.
to join the force.
Yep.
And you're going to incentivize good people to leave the force whenever
Exactly.
you start demonizing every single day.
Exactly.
So then we have people that are incompetent, people that will be bad cops staying, and you end up with stuff like this.
Well, yeah, some guy's making 20 grand a year, no benefits, standing there like, no.
Yeah,
I'm
maybe
not really
I'll
gonna
just
do anything.
not go because it could ruin my entire life.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, yeah, this is what's happening, and this is the problem. Is all of this? It's a domino effect, and we're going to keep seeing more and more and more of this because we're taking away repercussions. This just incentivizes people to do more.
Right. Yeah. So okay. So let's get into that after the break. We got to take a quick one. First, we want to thank our sponsor, Birch Gold. So look, I know you guys. I don't have to tell you that inflation is out of control. It's hammering the stock market. The S&P 500 is. Oh, it's just having its worst start to the year since World War II. Nothing to worry about there. Oh wait, actually there is a lot to worry about. Your savings are worth less, and you also have less of it. Now is the time to diversify into gold and silver. It is the most stable asset in the history of the world, and Birch Gold is the company I trust to help you convert an IRA or a 401k into an IRA in gold and silver. They're going to help you fortify your savings with these precious metals and help you do it in a tax-sheltered account. There's no reason to not at least look at this, you guys. Every day your money becomes worth less and less. You got to look at diversifying. You can text the word Y to 989898. You'll get a free, no obligation info kit on gold from Birch Gold. That is the word Y, WHY, to 989898.
There's compelling evidence that the law enforcement response to the attack at Robb Elementary was an abject failure and antithetical to everything we've learned over the last 2 decades since the Columbine massacre. 3 minutes after the subjects entered the West Building, there was a sufficient number of armed officers wearing body armor to isolate, distract, and neutralize the subject. The only thing stopping a hallway of dedicated officers from entering room 111 and 112 was the on-scene commander, who decided to place the lives of officers before the lives of children. The officers had weapons, the children had none. The officers had body armor, the children had none.
I mean, again, I feel like, look, the large amount of blame can be placed on that commanding officer, obviously, but like the buck does not stop there. You mean to tell me he was the only one in the way? What was he doing? Standing in the hallway, blocking all of them from going?
Yeah.
It's just not acceptable to me.
Yeah, the people, I don't know, arresting the parents and stopping them. I mean, if everybody was just charging in like a bull, it would have been taken care of a lot quicker, too.
You understand how people, conspiracy theorists, are able to promote conspiracies when you see stuff like this and you're like,
it just doesn't make sense. It doesn't compute.
No,
you would
none
hope
of
it was a conspiracy. The only other way, it's the only thing that would make sense, because you can't imagine anybody would be this incompetent.
No.
The only thing is, were they thinking we're because in situations like that, now I've not been a police officer or in the military, but I know somehow how they work, is the chain of command, it works like that so they don't cause more casualties. That is the only explanation I could think. But again, going back to 58 minutes is a long time to sit there and know that there are children in that room. That, I mean, we could be mitigating destruction by just going in there.
Right.
I mean, there's no way we could cause more by just going in there and stopping it immediately.
Yeah.
Well, it's not a fully automatic weapon.
Right.
They know that. They can see in the window, right? That's what they're saying is possible.
Where's SWAT team?
Yeah.
So let's say, but they know it's not a fully automatic weapon.
Well, they should know that from hearing the gunshots. I mean, he was shooting outside the school for a while. There was an officer, we heard yesterday, there was an officer who actually saw him outside the building before he even entered, and he was shooting in the parking lot. They would have known right then that was not a fully automatic weapon.
How did he get in the building? That is just, if he was already shooting and they already knew he had a gun, how did he get in the building?
Well, and he's shooting at the school. I'm just shocked that he was able to shoot at the school and nobody was there to stop him at that point, and there was still time to get from there inside of a school. And a small town would be the last reasonable thing to say to prevent that. It means every cop there should have been on that like that.
3 minutes?
So I want to get back to something that you said, Dave, before the break, which was, what did you use, the word encourage or enable? It's just going to encourage people to do
Incentivize, encourage, whatever it is.
Yeah. So what do you mean by that? Elaborate on that.
Well, you can see the fold over time. I mean, it's all happened with school shootings. It's not that they're relatively new, but when I was in high school, Columbine happened. Dylan Klebold and Eric Harris were not nerdy, dorky kids. It was one sociopath who had a friend that was a follower. It was really a fluke. As weird as that sounds, but it was really just one kid's kind of own anger that brought in another kid and people that were too young to realize they had a future ahead of them. But now we're watching it go and go and go and go. It's just completely fallen like dominoes. I know I've used that analogy, but it keeps happening. This is like Sandy Hook. For them to even compare it to Columbine, to be like, this is the worst massacre since Columbine, there has been way worse things that have happened since Columbine. Not that that wasn't terrible. But all that's happening is now you have somebody who's watching TV who's angry, and with everything going on in the world right now, find that shooter and show me him 2.5 years ago. Show me before the world started collapsing, before everybody was supposed to be afraid of each other, before it's me versus you, before it's hate the neighbor, before all of it. I'd like to see how everybody talks about, oh, it's mental health care, it's guns, it's this, it's not. It's all crap. It's all forcing somebody to change. Every one of us has been psychologically damaged in the last 3 years, whether we want to admit it or not, because none of this makes sense. That's why conspiracy theorists can jump in and go, how do all these children die when there's 11 cops available?
Right.
If it's not a conspiracy, then fine, but there is something greater going on. I think we can all admit that.
And it just feels like there's something that explains it, because it's unexplainable. Like in a normal world, this doesn't make any sense. So then you start to try to make it make sense. And like what you're saying, it just makes you go, okay, well then all these crazy things go on, and maybe it's just evil and incompetence.
And let me add to that, when you talk about conspiracy theories here, when you add to that the fact that this is quite possibly the greatest case you could make for citizens being more armed, not less, because
100%.
you don't want to leave the guns to just law enforcement who may or may not show up, yet the Democrats are using this as an excuse to disarm the population from having all of the guns that apparently they only want law enforcement officials and criminals to have. And so you put those two things together and it's like, none of this makes sense.
No, and you knew that was the first thing that was going to happen.
Right.
They jump on gun reform. They jump on, well, okay, what do you want to do then? You want to raise it to 21? Well, I'm a recovering alcoholic who's been abusing drugs since I was 14, and I've been sober for 10 years. So it's like, where do you think I couldn't get alcohol? You think I couldn't get a whole? It has nothing to, I mean, I'm not saying that you shouldn't have restrictions, but where's even the gun shop owner who sees a twitchy 18-year-old kid come in and is like, here you go, it's fine. You don't have to sell him a weapon. I mean, that just comes down to one person's own, I think, jackass decision.
Well, I mean, it's also a very slippery slope when you're talking about raising the age, especially I will not listen to that conversation from the same party who says that children should be able to change their gender at 4 and oh, by the way, we want 16-year-olds to vote, but you're not responsible enough to own a weapon to protect yourself until you're 21. Like that's a completely disingenuous argument, and I'm not even going to entertain that from you guys.
Well, that's the problem, is their entire campaign now of the Democrats, which is now insane. It's just stuff that doesn't make sense all mashed together to try to appeal to people.
I don't know how you mental gymnastics into that being like your worldview.
And I used
to does not make sense whatsoever.
And I used to be liberal, but I'm still the exact same I was before. It's just moved so much that now I'm conservative.
So you're like Elon Musk.
I guess.
You're the meme that Elon Musk tweeted out.
Well, I'm just much poorer. And I don't know how to build a rocket.
Other than that, exact same.
Exactly.
Yeah, same guy.
Better hair.
I do.
Better hair.
I do have got one
All
thing
natural.
going.
That's
all Dave.
So you know what? Let's do this. Whenever I know we had it planned for later in the program, but let's go ahead and take a quick break, and then when we come back, I want to get into Elon Musk and what's going on with him, because it's just he's weird. Apparently his family's weird. But let's get into, we'll do a little bit happier subject, at least, I don't know, not talking about tragedy when we get back from the break. First, we want to thank our sponsor, Healthy Cell. So my entire household loves Healthy Cell. Here is why. If you are taking a pill, like a supplement, a vitamin, whatever it is, if you're taking it in pill form, you're not actually absorbing it properly. So you're not getting the promised results. This is why you need to check out Healthy Cell. It is a supplement. It tastes great, and it has 165% more absorption than pills. It is a gel. I just squeeze it right in my mouth from the little package, but you can.
I did that too.
Do you?
Yeah.
It's so good. I hear that
the little
people like
white ones?
mix
Yeah.
it in,
Oh,
mix
it's
it in
delightful.
yogurt or
Yeah.
like mix it in a smoothie or whatever. I'm like, I don't need to do that. It tastes great, and I
helps you
just
sleep.
pop it in my mouth, and
Yeah.
they've got
I
a
feel like a
sleep one.
toddler eating like a little
I
Go-Gurt
know,
or something.
a
But it's
Go-Gurt,
like,
exactly.
I do that
It's so
for
good.
vegetables because I hate vegetables.
So they've got it for everything. They've got a bioactive multi. They've got a focus one. They've got an immune super boost. They've got one, as you pointed out, for sleep. They've got it all. So you got to go check it out. You can go to healthycell.com/news. Use promo code news for 20% off your first order. That is healthycell.com/news. All right, Elon Musk, let's get into what is happening with him lately. So Twitter's board has recommended unanimously that shareholders approve the proposed $44 billion sale of the company to, of course, none other than Elon Musk. This is according to a regulatory filing today. He reiterated his desire to move forward with the deal last week during a virtual meeting with Twitter employees. And look, it's just interesting because I thought for a second that he was going to back out.
Me
he kept
too.
questioning, like, what percentage of bots are there? And it was way higher than they said.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like,
he got real quiet about it. I was like,
Yes.
oh man, don't back out on me, bro.
I know.
I need you.
Well, but then at the same time, I was like, yeah, but if I were him, I wouldn't spend the same amount of money
Right.
on a company that should be worth less because there are all of these bots, right?
Well, people on Twitter did that too, because all of a sudden it was like, oh, I had like 30,000 more followers I didn't know I had. Then when he
Yeah.
started acting a little fishy, they stopped growing immediately.
Yeah.
Yes.
Did you notice that?
Yes.
I
Yeah.
noticed it. Like whenever all of that started happening and it was like official that he was going to try and buy it, everything felt more open. I mean, you were going ham on Twitter, and it was awesome. And like we saw growth on everybody's tweets. And,
but you got a
and they
huge
got
influx of followers too,
ton
right?
of them.
And then it stopped. Did it kind of turn
Yes.
off?
Yeah,
me
it
too.
stopped. Yeah, it was
For sure.
huge, and then it just stopped. And I
I'm
was like, all
so
right.
glad to hear you guys say this because
Yeah.
I was like, someone pulled the string again on the inside and shut that off.
Yep.
Okay, I'm glad it wasn't
I
just
don't-
me.
I don't-
Because I think he
Crazy.
still has. There's one more hoop to go through though before this is official, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, I guess we'll see, but I don't know why he'd be doing a virtual meeting with the employees if he planned to back out now.
I bet it was awkward.
Yeah, it's kind of
Just because he's awkward, but then it's also that meeting.
But he was like doing little jokes and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His little weird jokes. He's
Yeah.
he's an odd one.
He's
off the
That
wall.
one. He's not the only one that's odd, apparently, in his family. He has a transgender child who has filed a request for a name change over gender identity in order to cut ties with his father. Okay, this is saying his.
Yeah, we're confused.
I'm always like, I need a flow chart. I just need a flow chart. I don't
I
understand.
was doing the Ezra
Yes.
Miller stuff.
A
and it's
gender
all like
fluid
they
chart.
there.
Yeah,
when they're,
like,
they're like explaining situations where like one person was beating on another person, but they're explaining the one person as a they, and I'm like, how many people are involved here?
Right. Oh, just the one.
Yeah.
Just this,
Oh, okay.
You know, the singular they.
isn't it right?
Obviously,
Doesn't
Garrett.
pronoun mean you're not there?
Right. Yeah. Why
Yeah.
are they so important
Interesting.
anyway?
They're
Right.
invisible.
Yeah. So, okay. So this is Xavier Alexander Musk.
It was a boy.
Yes.
There was a girl.
Is a
boy. I mean.
Right,
Well,
is
I've
a
been
boy,
canceled.
just recently turned 18,
late.
and asked the court to recognize the gender change from male to female to register a new name that would be Vivian Jenna Wilson. And look, Elon just in 2020 tweeted out pronouns suck. And then he said, I absolutely support trans, but all these pronouns are an aesthetic nightmare. Yeah. So I guess maybe he's supportive of this, but I don't know if he should be because his son is like, I don't want to be associated with my dad anymore. Actually.
I would like to see if they're still getting money. Is there a trust fund somewhere out there? I mean, if you're giving up the identity, you're no longer getting a trust fund.
Yeah, you're no longer
right.
Xavier Musk.
Yeah.
Or maybe you are Xavier, whoever you were before.
Is it still like, I'd like to cut ties, but
Do you need to change your name if it's Xavier?
still?
I mean, well, okay,
Is
so
that
I want to. So I want to give the.
multisexual?
I want to give the quote.
I just think of X-Men.
Gender
me too,
identity
doctor.
and the fact that I no longer live with or wish
becomes a
to be
paralyzed bald
related
man.
to my biological father in any way, shape, or form.
Sorry.
So,
Okay.
like, that's
So
pretty,
no trust fund.
No money.
That's what I'm saying. I
Boy.
just want to know why.
No,
Man, that first apartment with 1 bedroom's really gonna mess her up. Can you
gonna hit
imagine?
him like a ton of bricks.
Can you-
You're
or
like,
him.
oh, never mind. I take
This
it
is
all back.
this is what happens when you don't have money.
Do they hold? Do
I
they
am a-
still have the penis in a jar that I
Yeah,
can reattach?
yes,
because I
that-
would like to go back.
Give me my old parts. I am silly.
I will say, so Wilson is
I'll
he
change
is
my
taking-
sex for Musk money. I'll do it right now.
Is there like a? Can I add
sew
my name
tennis
to
balls to my
Musk's
chest, a big-
family?
If you just change your name to Musk, maybe
Yeah, is
you
that
can
all
get
it
in.
takes?
Yeah,
You
I'll
can
be
just
his
get in on
daughter.
the deal.
Whatever he wants me to be.
Yeah, whatever it is.
I'll be
Okay,
his
that just
lover.
got really weird.
Why?
We could split the trust fund.
You know how much
So-
he's worth, and do whatever he wants to me.
Elon,
Look, we're all whores deep down.
Anyway, come on.
Let's not
Everybody's got a
pretend.
price.
No offense to anybody here who's maybe has dignity.
I thought you were going to say who actually is a whore.
No, I don't think you're a whore. You seem like a very lovely person. Me, I would take it any way he wants to give it to me for cash.
You know, the most interesting part of the name change to me is that typically when you see the trans name change, they stick with the same beginning letter, right? Like if
Right,
it
yeah.
starts
Yeah.
with an X, I don't. Maybe it's because it was an X, and it's like,
Well, yeah, what do you do with that?
what do you do with
Yeah.
X if you're moving to
Maybe
a female
the
name?
trust fund is under ex Musk. He's also an ex person, lady or boy,
It's like
depending.
it's got multi-layered to it.
Yeah. So
What it's all see. This is what I mean though. By everything's just meant to confuse you. That's all it is meant to do is confuse you, so people can be offended by everything.
Yeah.
it's true.
So yeah, so no matter what you do or say or anything, somebody can get upset. That's all this is.
So I want to. I know. So you're a contributor at Nerdrotic. So I assume you probably have an opinion on the Lightyear situation. I
Yes.
found it very fascinating that speaking of all of these controversies and all of this. Look, I want to get y'all's opinion on what the issue was, why it flopped. Was it the same-sex kiss and scene? Was it just Disney's general philosophy of injecting LGBTQ gender ideology to young children and people are just not supporting the company as a whole because of it? Is it because Tim Allen wasn't the voice of Buzz Lightyear? Like, what exactly was it? Because I see all of this trans stuff going on and I'm like, people are done with this crap. You guys have taken it too far and they're just done. And even if they see something that they once supported as like, oh, a same-sex marriage is cool, I'm fine with it. Now that even this will set them off because they're like, okay, you don't have to do it in every single freaking kids movie.
Yeah, I think it's a combination of all those factors. Disney right now in general is kind of it's slowly the audience the normie audience we call it, people that aren't locked in and watching the news all the time at what Disney's doing. People at everyday jobs don't have the time to do that. They just go, hey, new Toy Story movie, let's take our kids,
Right.
Over time, they take a little bit more time to come around, but they are starting to figure out, Disney is not producing good content. It's not original. And it's got all of this strange propaganda kind of stuff where it's like pushing. So it's all of these kind of factors coming together. And the lead up to this movie, the very week of the release, Chris Evans came and called half of the American population dinosaurs
Yeah,
that
dinosaurs,
would die
yeah.
off.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's it's not a good thing to do whenever you have a giant movie is to just call half of the audience retarded.
Right.
So what I also find is funny is they called him dinosaurs and he was beaten by a dinosaur movie.
That's true.
That is-
the
even
third
good.
in a second trilogy, a trilogy that's not even a good trilogy. So
That's true.
yeah, and then leading
That's
up to
karma.
that, we had the whole anti-grooming bill and Disney's reaction to that, and its very public reaction to that, and the reversal of that, the kiss scene or whatever. I don't know. I have not seen the movie because I don't care, because I love Toy Story and not whatever this abomination is.
Right.
But that was very public.
Yeah.
So we have audience going, whoa, what is this? They're really getting really deep into this political area
Yeah.
that I just want to have a fun time with my kids.
Yeah.
And if you're going to do that to Buzz Lightyear, I'm just not going to take my kids. I'll go do something else. There's a million other things I could be doing right now instead of going to the movies where it's really annoying to go. There's people talking in my ear, and I'm just not going to go. So
Yeah.
I think it's it's a
combination
movement,
of
a combination. And then I think I don't know if you've noticed this, but you do kind of feel the pendulum starting to hit that apex and swing back, and people go, I've had enough with all this stuff.
Yeah.
So it's kind of swinging back. It's just, it's the first flag of seeing change coming.
Do you agree, Dave?
Well, I think the movie flopped because it wasn't gay enough. I brought my kid, and I was really expecting at least some man-on-man with Woody and Buzz. And
if you're going to do it, go all the way.
I mean, really, I was expecting at least some good Requiem for a Dream ending. No, I think it's a combination of everything you said.
Yeah.
I mean, Tim Allen does have a huge fan base. He was America's dad. I've opened for Tim. I not to be name droppy. I know him. All right. But seriously, and I think it's a combination of everything where they weren't really promoting a movie, they were promoting an agenda.
Yeah.
So I didn't even know that a new Toy Story movie had been made until after it had come out and everybody wanted you to know there was a female kiss in it. Yeah, really.
Oh, that's fascinating.
And I have a son. I don't care if he watches Disney Plus. I mean, come on, Rescue Rangers? Yeah, I'm going to tell him no.
Yeah, but you got to be careful with that because during Pride Month, they've got a whole bunch of propaganda and stuff on
for
Disney
children
Plus.
specifically.
I maneuver around it. You know, I'm not like, hey, let's. It's just like, oh, it's a colorful flag.
It's drag queen story hour.
Yes, I bring them every day.
Fire up Disney Plus, son. We're gonna watch us some drag queen story
that's
hour.
What doesn't make sense though. The kids just think it's a clown. I'm not trying. It's what they do. They don't really know.
Yeah.
I just be like, yeah, it's a clown.
Right.
Like I would. That's all.
It just doesn't do balloon animals.
Right. Yeah.
It's like a lame clown.
Yeah, it's a clown.
They do probably have latex on them somewhere. It's just
There's
not.
a good chance.
It's not the
visible.
balloon.
Yeah, they did a
sometimes
balloon.
it's visible.
The balloon's very greasy. They can't tie it quite right.
It's always slipping out, flying around.
With that being said, we're going to go ahead and take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Sorry, was that too far?
The Navy is training its members to create a safe space, of course, because what else would you expect from the United States military other than to create safe spaces by using proper gender pronouns in a new instructional video modeled after a children's show. This is so embarrassing. The training video is meant to emphasize the importance of using correct pronouns as well as polite etiquette when you may not be sure of someone's pronouns. And look, this is an official U.S. Navy video. I just have to play it. Watch.
Hi, my name is Johnny and I use he, him pronouns.
Hi, and I'm Kanchi and I use she, her pronouns.
And we're here to talk about pronouns. Instead of saying something like, hey guys, you can say, hey everyone, or hey team.
Yeah, and now that you say that, another way that we could show that we're allies and that we accept everybody is to maybe include our pronouns in our emails, or like we just did, introduce ourselves using our pronouns.
Oh.
But what would I do
Where are my
if
tax dollars going?
Misgender
To this.
I think the first thing to recognize is that it's not the end of the world.
Oh,
you
okay.
correct yourself and move on, or you accept the correction and move on.
Good.
The most important thing I can tell you is do not put the burden of making you feel good about your mistake on the person that you just misgendered.
Oh, thank you for telling me that.
Well, that clears it up. At least
Could they have at least picked people who knew how to act on camera?
Yeah, come on.
It's just
we need
good.
some charisma.
Well, I mean, the Navy should have a safe space since America isn't one now either. Why don't we just have a white flag? Wouldn't that work? Because we've given up.
This is just, well, a white flag would be racist, Dave.
That's true.
Obviously.
That is true.
I'm
That's
actually offended that you suggested
That's a dog whistle.
You
Sorry,
toxic
guys.
white man.
Sorry.
How dare you?
I'm sorry.
But like,
I identify as a white flag.
this is too. It's too.
It's so silly.
I mean, really, it's like this has to be a joke, and then it's like, no, literally,
No,
this is not a
real.
joke. This was produced by the United States Navy.
Why is the black woman with a natural afro they, them, and then there's just a dude with a turban? Is that what they call
well,
it?
they had to include all of the.
But he's
they
a
had to be
he.
He's a
diverse.
him.
He's a he, him, because if you say that in Islamic culture, then
Yeah.
but he's going to kill the woman on his right.
Very
kidding me?
inclusive.
I
Why do they all
have.
have white
Nick,
hair?
I understand. Like, I could see this at college. You know, whenever I was in college, this stuff was like seeping in, and they'd
Yeah.
like require you to watch stuff like this to be like, oh, so we're all included. And that was 10 years ago now. But I can't believe this has gotten to the Navy.
I mean, it's not
It
even
was
just
in
the Navy. It's,
community.
all,
Now-
it's all of the military.
The Navy's confirmed gay.
But not, yeah.
It's always been like.
Well, I mean, it's always been because of the village people,
Yeah.
but
No
you didn't
offense
have
to
to
the Navy.
go.
My dad was in the Navy.
No, my dad was
Mine
Army
was
because he's
too.
not
The
gay.
village people.
But no, I'm kidding.
I have to imagine, like,
There's a leather man.
every other country is just laughing at us.
Yeah, they are.
Like China, even Russia, which who knows what's going on with Putin. He's like dying or something from cancer, and he does not look well, and he's still like, yeah, I could still take you guys.
How big are their
Kim
coffins?
Jong-un?
Because the tables are huge.
They're huge.
Yeah, huge tables.
I
Sorry.
mean, Putin's coffin's going to be like a massive.
It's going to be a big coffin.
like two.
You're going to need like
double-decker.
58 pallbearers.
Like,
Have you ever seen
You guys are
the
wild.
Russian tables?
No.
They're
The
huge.
meeting tables?
No.
You should really look at
It's
the
like
size.
a football
Really?
field
It's
long.
absurd. Yeah, they're seriously the size of a football field just to have a meeting. It's like have you ever seen the Batman with Michael Keaton?
Yeah.
You know when they're like eating soup all the way across the room?
Oh, yeah.
That's basically every meeting with Putin.
Why?
I don't know. They just have giant
power-
tables. I think it's
power
power. It's a
dynamic.
power move.
I'm up here at the top of the table. You're way over there.
He's like, this is my side of
that
the
makes
longest
sense.
table.
yeah.
That makes sense. That
Nobody
makes
else can
sense.
have a giant wood.
Yeah, it's like, do you know how big this table is? I have the biggest table you've ever seen.
Well, I for one,
It's like-
feel really safe knowing that our military is being trained properly to protect us. And by protect us, I, of course, mean not offend someone who is very confused and likely very mentally ill.
Yeah, if we ever go into a sea battle, we'll know not to misgender any of the
Any of the seamen?
any of the seamen.
Of course,
You
right.
said it. Thank you.
course.
Sea days.
We don't
Yeah.
want sea shims.
Oh, God.
I think they're the best of us. We should put them on the front line, send them right in there. They can take care of everything.
All right, we've gotta
See some
take a
nice
break.
mer
We'll
persons.
be back.
You know,
It's so embarrassing.
it is so embarrassing. It's like, well, you can cut to the Russian commercial.
Never a dull moment with Joe Biden. While he answered questions from the media on Rehoboth Beach in Delaware, a female journalist asked about economists who have predicted that a recession is looming. And Biden just said, like, you're just making stuff up. Watch.
I promise. Recession's even more likely than ever.
Not the majority of them aren't saying that. Come on, don't make things up, okay? Now you sound like a Republican politician. I'm joking. That was a joke. It was a joke. All kidding aside.
Jumped on real fast.
No, I don't think it is.
I don't think that when you have to say that was a joke, it's probably not funny.
Didn't land.
Yeah.
He didn't even give it time to land. That's how you knew it didn't
off.
work. Yeah,
He didn't
It's very
either. It's
sincere. He's
just
like, that was a joke.
immediately.
That was a-
And I feel like all of his press conferences or time talking about stuff, he's either saying not a joke or that was a joke.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's just every time he's asked about anything.
It's dementia.
It's seeping in.
Is it?
Yeah, he just fell off a bike.
He said,
He
yes, he did.
certainly did.
Yes.
But not while he was riding it.
No, well, that's the best part.
Well, he was off of it.
1 foot planted or so, we thought, on the
So he
ground.
thought.
The hardest
Yeah.
part is once you stop, that 10 seconds after you stop.
Is
Yeah.
it?
Yeah, it's really hard.
The hardest part of riding a bike.
But
I never forget that
I guess
part.
he has a brain bleed and has been stuttering, so no damage was done to him whatsoever.
Yeah.
It's funny because you have like the Joe Biden defenders who come in and they're like, oh, what, like you've never fallen off a bike before? I'm like, yeah, in 5th grade.
Yeah, when I was like
Yeah.
7.
Yeah.
And I rode it down a hill when I was like 11 years
Yeah.
old.
Right.
Like,
No, I did it on
Also-
purpose. I did it
Also,
on
you
purpose.
guys called for the 25th Amendment when Trump like sipped water and like
Walked down a ramp.
Yeah, walked
Like,
down a ramp
ramp.
slowly and like breathed funny. So I don't want to hear it from them.
But why do they let him do anything? I mean, it's like, why would you even take the risk of filming him on a bike?
Yeah,
It's
we
a-
talked about it the other day. And it was
Yeah.
like there's somebody in his cabinet that is trying to take him out.
Yeah.
They keep setting him up for failure. Like,
That's
walk up
an
these steps.
interesting theory.
Get on this
Yeah.
bike.
That is
Yeah.
a really interesting theory because, to your point, during the campaign, they hid him in the basement like the
Yeah.
entire
Right.
time. Why
They're
would
like-
they not keep doing that?
Yeah, now they're like, let's put on a bike. He can go
We're
four-wheeling
like, look,
maybe.
what we got? We got a year and a half left. Let's start throwing them on like scooters.
Yeah, juggling,
and
hot dog
hover
eating
bike,
contests.
Like hoverboards.
All right, really quick, Garrett, tell everyone where they can find Joe.
Hey, you can find me on my YouTube channel, Quarterback Garrett, and the YouTube channel Nerdrotic on Fridays, Friday Night Tights.
Awesome. And Dave.
Loud with Crowder. You can check me out Monday through Thursday or DaveLandau.com. We also have tour dates coming up. Check us out.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.